Hi friends, welcome to Let's Learn Civil Engineering Classroom. In this video, I am going to discuss about one of the building materials that is used in civil engineering, that is timber. For more videos, please subscribe the channel and click the bell button for further notification. As we know that timber is a building material which is obtained by cutting and processing of trees. So, the quality of timber is based on the quality of tree. The trees are generally classified into two, that is exogenous trees and endogenous trees. Exogenous trees are the tree which goes widthwise, which is non-fibrous, for example mango tree, jackfruit tree, etc. Endogenous trees are which grows lengthwise and which is having a fibrous structure, for example coconut tree, bamboo, etc. The trees are again classified into two, that is deciduous trees and evergreen trees, depending upon the trees in which they are shedding their leaves. So a tree which shed their leaves in some season is called as deciduous trees, and the trees which do not shed their leaves in any season is called as the evergreen trees. Usually the deciduous trees are hardwood. The annual rings are not visible, but the medullary rays are visible. And in evergreen trees, annual rings are more visible, but the medullary rays are not visible. The example for deciduous trees is teak, babul, sal, oak, mahogany, etc. The example for evergreen tree is chir, deodar, spruce, fir, kyle, etc. The evergreen trees are usually softwood and the deciduous trees are hardwood. Next is the structure of a tree. The figure shows a complete structure of or the cross section of a tree. Macro structure of the tree has different layers, as we can see in the figure, that is pith, heartwood, sapwood, cambium, inner bark, outer bark, etc. I will discuss each one in detail. The first one is the pith. The pith is the inner part of a tree which supplies nutrients at a younger age. The pith supplies nutrients at the younger age, and it is the innermost part of a tree. The portion of the pith gets decayed if the tree gets matured. Hence, the trees are usually cut in 50 to 60 years. The second portion is the heartwood. Heartwood is the portion between the sapwood and the pith. So the portion in between the sapwood and the pith is called as the heartwood. Through years, the sapwood gets dead, forming heartwood. Usually the sapwood is become dead in each year and it becomes heartwood. Okay. Then the third one is the sapwood. This portion is called as the sapwood. Sapwood is also called as alburnum. These sapwood are the recently formed cells or the last formed part of a tree. The next is the cambium layer. We can see the cambium layer. This layer is a paste-like region. It can be defined as the layer between the inner bark and the sapwood. This is the sapwood and this is the inner bark. So it is a portion, it is a paste-like region in which cambium is formed between the inner bark and the sapwood. The next is the inner bark. Inner bark, the function of the inner bark is to protect the cambium layer. The last one is the medullary ray. These rays are called as a medullary ray. Actually, the medullary rays are a tissue or a fibrous material which starts from pith to the cambium layer. Hence, the function of the medullary ray is to hold these annular rings. These circles are called as the annular rings. The annular rings are usually formed at the end of every year, which means one ring indicates 1 year for tree. So by counting the number of rings, we can find out the age of a tree. The next topic is defects in timber. It is classified along 5 heads. That is, the defects caused due to the conversion of timber, the defect caused due to the attack of fungus, the defect caused due to the attack of insects, the defects occurred due to natural forces, and the last one, defect caused due to season. The first one is the defect due to conversion. There are mainly 4 major defects caused due to conversion. That is chip mark, diagonal grain, torn grain, and vein. A chip mark is an impression of tool. It may be a chisel or a hammer mark. The second one is a diagonal grain. The diagonal grain, this defect is caused due to the improper soil. It affects the strength of the timber. Then the third one is torn grain. Torn grain is a depression formed by falling of heavy tools on the tree or heavy tools on the timber. The fourth one is vein. Veins are the presence of original concentric rounded surface. The second one is the defect due to fungus. Blue stain, sap stain, dry rot, wet rot, white rot, brown rot, hurt rot. So as we can see that all the rots R-O-T, all the rots comes under the defect due to fungus. The first one is blue stain. A blue stain is the blue coloring of the timber due to the attack of fungus. Second one is a sap stain. Sap stain means it is the discoloration due to the attack of fungus in the sapwood. Hence the name sap stain. The discoloration, that may be any color or the variation in the color due to the attack of fungus in the sapwood. Third one is a dry rot. Dry rot means powdering of tree due to lack of ventilation by the attack of fungus. It is called as the dry rot. Then the fourth one is wet rot. Wet rot means it is a defect caused due to alternate drying and wetting of the timber. The next is white rot. White rot means if a fungus attack on the lignin, the color becomes white. In a tree, there are 2 cells, that is lignin and cellulose. The color of the lignin is brown in color and the color of the cellulose is white in color. If the fungus attack in lignin, the color become white. The lignin is giving the brown color to the tree. Hence, if the fungus attack the lignin, the color becomes the color of the cellulose, that is white. It is called as the white rot. The next is the brown rot, that is, it is just opposite of the white rot. That means, if the fungus attack on the cellulose having a white color, if the fungus attack on the cellulose, the color becomes brown. That defect is called as brown rot. And the last defect due to fungus is hurt rot. Hurt rot by the attack of fungus into the hurt wood in cut region. If you cut the tree in some parts, the fungus get attacked in the hurt wood. That defect is called as hurt rot. The third one is the defect due to insect. There are usually 3 insects attacks the timber, that is beetles, marine borers, and termites. The beetles use the wood as its food. The second type of an insect is marine borers. The marine borers are usually found in salty environment. They use the tree as their shelter, or they use the wood as their shelter. All the beetles and marine borers attacks from inside to the outside. The third type of an insect is termite. Termite usually attacks from outside. The fourth one is defect due to natural forces. There are 14 defects due to natural forces. The first one is burl. Burl is any injury at the younger stage of a tree. Usually it is the irregular projections or depressions in the tree. The second one is callus. Callus is the presence of soft tissues around a wound. The third one is a chemical stain. Chemical stain means the discoloration of wood due to the presence of chemicals. The fourth one is coarse grain. The example for coarse grain is acacia. The tree acacia is the best example for coarse grain. Coarse grain is the wide and large annular rings due to the fast growing trees. The fifth one is dead wood. Dead wood means the wood which is dead. Sixth one, druxiness. Druxiness is the white decayed spot inside the wood. It affects the strength of the tree and it is concealed by a healthy wood, so it cannot be seen from outside. Seventh one is knot. Due to the improper cutting of branches, continuously it gets nutrients. The tree gets nutrients through the area. There presents a hard region. That hard region is called as the knot. Next defect is foxiness. Foxiness is due to the over maturity and bad ventilation of tree. These defects are usually occurred in marshy soil. Rindgall. Rind means bark and gall means irregular projection. Hence, if there is any irregular projection in the bark, it is called as the rindgall. That is, the swelling of the bark is rindgall. Another defect is shake. There are 5 types of shake, that is cup shake, ring shake, heart shake, radial shake and star shake. A cup shake is the decay or a crack in the annular ring at some point of the tree. It is called as a cup shake. A ring shake is when a cup shake increases to a ring. It forms different layers around, just like the annular rings are separated. It is called as the ring shake. The third one is heart shake. Heart shake is the shrinkage from pith to outside, is called as the heart shake. The heart is shrinked. The reason for heart shake is over maturity of the tree. The fourth one is the radial shake. Radial shake is just opposite to the heart shake. That is the shrinkage from outside to the pith. The fifth one is star shake. A star shake is usually occurred due to heavy wind. There may be a crack in bark to the sapwood. If a crack generated from bark to the sapwood, it is the star shake. The star shake does not affect the strength because the crack is only generated from the only generated from the bark to the sapwood. Another defect occurred due to the natural forces is the twisted fibre. A twisted fibre, when a timber gets spirally distorted, it cannot be used. Such defect is called as the twisted fibre. The other name for twisted fibre is wandering heart. The next defect is upset or rupture. An upset is caused due to the improper felling of trees. The wood fibers are injured during the falling of trees by crushing or compression. Such defect is called as the upset. Next defect is water stain. A water stain is the impression of water in the tree. Another defect is wind crack. Wind crack is usually formed due to the cracks which is formed due to the wind is called as the wind crack. The fifth one is the defect due to seasoning. Before telling the defects of seasoning, I would like to say what is seasoning. As we know that the timber is a hygroscopic material, it expands on water and releases on heat. In timber, there is 50 to 55% of water. In Indian condition, water is reduced to 8 to 12% and the resin also removed. This process of reducing the water in the timber and removing the resin is called as seasoning. So on seasoning, there may be some defects occurs during seasoning. That is, the first one is bow. That is, the bend occur in lengthwise direction. The second one is cup. A cup is bending in transverse direction. If the timber is bent in transverse direction, it is called as cup. Third one is check. The irregular cracks inside the fibre is called as check. The fourth one is split. The cracks formed all throughout the fibre is called as a split. The fifth one is twist. Twist is the spiral distortion of timber along lengthwise. The spiral distortion of timber along lengthwise, and which can be visible from outside, is called as the twist. The sixth one is warp. Any other bending other than twist is called as warp. Then radial shake, as we discussed it earlier, that is the shrinking of a tree from outside to the pith is called as the radial shake. This defect is also caused during seasoning. The next is honeycombing. Honeycombing is the radial and circular cracks which is formed in two directions is called as honeycombing. The next defect is collapse. The shrinkage occurs all throughout is called as collapse. The 10th one is case hardening. A case hardening is a defect on the lower timber during seasoning. When the timber are placed one above the other at the end of seasoning for drying, defect occur to the lower portion or the lower timber during seasoning is called as case hardening. Now we are going to some of the multiple choice question that is repeatedly asked for the competitive exams that usually come from this portion, that is from the timber. The first question, which of the trees yield hardwood? A chir, shisham, pine, deodar. The answer is shisham. The tree which yield hardwood is shisham. Which of the tree is suitable for making sports goods? Mahogany, sal, deodar, mulberry. The answer is mulberry. The mulberry tree is usually used for making sports goods. The third question, the disease of dry rot in timber is caused by complete submerge of water, lack of ventilation, alternate wet and dry, none of these. The answer is the disease of dry rot in timber is caused by lack of ventilation. Radial fibers extended from pith to cambium layer is called as medullary ray, inner bark, annular rings, none of these. The answer is medullary ray. Medullary rays are the fiber which extend from pith to the cambium layer. The defect caused by alternate wetting and drying of timber is honeycombing, dry rot, wet rot, foxiness. The answer is the defect caused by alternate wetting and drying of timber is wet rot. The properties of wood are mainly directional, non-directional, symmetrical, all of these. The answer is the properties of the wood are mainly directional. The defect due to fast growing trees is called as druxiness, callus, burls, coarse grain. The defect due to fast growing trees is called as coarse grain. Wandering hurt is caused due to wind, water, seasoning, decay of pith. Wandering hurt is caused due to the wind. Longitudinal bending of timber is known as check, cup, bow, warp. The answer is longitudinal bending of timber is known as bow. Alburnum is referred to pith, cambium, medulla, sapwood. Alburnum is referred to the sapwood. The another name for sapwood is alburnum. Torn grain is caused due to fungus, seasoning, natural forces, conversion. Torn grain is caused due to the conversion of timber. Injury at younger stage leads to burl, callus, druxiness, vein. Injury at the younger stage leads to burls. Cracks all throughout the timber fiber is known as split, check, star shake, cup shake. Cracks all throughout the timber fiber is known as split. The defect occurring for timbers placed at bottom during seasoning is A. collapse, B. honeycombing, C. case hardening, D. burl. The defect occurring for timber placed at bottom during seasoning is called as case hardening. Which of these is moderately refractory timber? Salwood, simul, rosewood, laurel. The answer is rosewood is the refractory timber. The timber having maximum resistance against white ant is obtained from chir, shisham, sal, teak. The answer is shisham is the tree which has maximum resistance against white ants. Not in timber are defect caused by crushing fibers, splits radiating from the center, speckled stains, signs of branches cut off. The answer is signs of branches cut off. The inner part of a timber log surrounding the pith is called as sapwood, cambium layer, hurtwood, none of these. The answer is hurtwood. Due to the attack of dry rot, the timber cracks, shrinks, reduces to powder, none of these. So due to the attack of dry rot, the timber reduces to powder. Teak wood is suitable for sports article, furniture, railway sleepers, all of the above. The answer is teak wood is usually suitable for the preparation of furnitures, making of furnitures. The cracks which extend from bark towards the sapwood in the cross section of a tree are called as radial shake, star shake, hurt shake, cup shake. The answer is the cracks which extend from bark towards the sapwood in the cross section of a tree are called as star shake. Age of a tree may be ascertained by radius of its stem, circumference of its stem, number of branches, number of annular rings. The answer is the age of a tree is measured by the number of annular rings. The cracks caused by shrinkage of exterior surface of the wood exposed to atmosphere are called as radial shake, hurt shake, wind cracks, twisted fibers. The answer is radial shakes. The presence of original rounded surface on the manufactured piece of timber is called a vein, torn grain, diagonal grain, chip mark. The answer is the presence of original rounded surface on the manufactured piece of timber is called as vein. Marine borers attack timber for shelter, food, feed on insects, none of these. The answer is marine borers attack timber for shelter. The defects due to improper sawing is chip mark, torn grain, vein, none of these. Defect due to improper sawing is none of the above. The defect due to improper sawing is called as diagonal grain. The outer bark is also called as pith, alburnum, cortex, medulla. The outer bark is also called as cortex. The irregular projections seen on bark is called as shake, knot, rindgall, foxiness. The irregular projections seen on bark is called as rindgall. The layer protecting cambium layer is called as cortex, inner bark, sapwood, pith. The answer is the layer protecting cambium layer is inner bark. The recently formed part of a timber is cambium, cortex, pith, none of this. The answer is the recently formed part of a timber is the sapwood. Annual rings are distinct in chir, teak, babul, sal. The annual rings are distinct in chir. Thank you for watching the video.